It's not that difficult. I mean, you still got to do what you do to get prepared. As long as you got 8, 9 guys, you just got to get ready. You just got to plug the holes in. So today was a very good spirited practice. Your guys are very focused on what we had to do. We know we're playing a very good team tomorrow. This is one of the best teams in the league. So we know we have to do everything right against these guys. So I love the way our guys came to work today.
Are you surprised at the resiliency of your club?
No, not really. Not at all. A bunch of fighters. So no, I'm not surprised at that one bit, Jimmy.
Coach just said his shot's not falling in the second half of games. He's going to dedicate certain days to ice baths, maybe certain days to leg presses or weightlifting. How's that going to go? I mean, how are you fitting that, and how do you think it's going to go for him?
Well, we'll find out. We talked about it today, and I told him it might be a point in time we want to see this week where these 2 days of rest can really, help him or benefit him, tomorrow. We'll find out, the next 3 games, so we'll get a pretty good idea of what we need to do after these 3 games to see if we have to give him a little bit more rest, see if we have to take a couple of more minutes off. We're just trying to figure it out. And him and I talked today about this before practice. So, again, it's work in progress because, like I said, he's played 19 years. He knows his body better than anybody. But we could see also watching the tape that everything was just a tad short, which tells me that the legs were a little fatigued.
Coach, have you talked to X last night or this morning, and how's he holding up?
I have not yet. I know that the surgery that he had this morning was successful. I guess it's not when you patient dies, but other than that, But so I think he's in good spirits. But I'll try to reach out to him later today. When I saw him yesterday, he was still very emotional, But just trying to talk to him about where he is and what he has to do. He's been down this road before. I think that's the one thing that's going to help him. Obviously, at 23 years old, he's still very young. Still have his career ahead of him, but I definitely want to reach out and talk to him today.
Have you ever seen a team have 3 season-ending injuries at one time in all your years in the league?
No, not any team I've ever been associated with, and I can't remember just any team, period. So it is something that's kind of we're treading in new territory. But again, like I said, as cruel as this may sound at times, we have to move on.
Nick Young comes back. He's got 2 good games, and he has 2 subpar games. What do you need from Nick to help this squad now that he's back?
Well, we need him to play like he did the first 2 games, and I think a lot of that was just adrenaline, and then it kind of caught up to him the last couple of games. He's been out for a while as well, so he has to get back in the mix and into the groove of things as well. So really going to try to force feed him a little bit more tomorrow, see if we can get him going early, because if he probably talks to you, he'll tell you that the reason we 2-2 since he's been back is because he's been back. So we do definitely rely on him a lot, especially for our punch off the bench.
Have you had any discussions with Mitch about adding some players to the roster now that it's depleted?
No, not yet. I know he's talked to the league about medical exemptions and things like that, but we haven't got to that point. We're going to have a meeting today, so we'll see what we talk about as far as that's concerned.
I know you're always talking about and bragging about your team, about how they will sometimes rise to the occasion. And going against this team tomorrow gives them a perfect opportunity to do that.
No doubt about it. Especially after the last game of really feeling in that locker room that we gave one away. Be a perfect situation for us to come in tomorrow night against one of the best teams in the league and play our hearts out. And I have no doubt that we'll come out and compete. We just have to, make sure we don't have those little mental mistakes that we had against Denver.
B, what makes Memphis so good defensively as a team?
They just move around, and those guys communicate extremely well. Those 2 bigs back there are great as far as clogging up the lane. They're great help defenders. They don't have one. They have one individual, and Tony Allen, who's an unbelievable defender. But the rest of them, they buy into the team concept, and they move on the string, and that's what you want.
Conley's never talked about in that elite guard status. How good do you think he is?
He's another one of those guys that's just very underrated. He just goes about his job. He does it very well. He's very steady. He doesn't do anything great, but he doesn't. There's not an area in his game that you can say needs a lot of work. He just each season seems to progressively get better as a point guard, and that's what you want. And I like the way he plays. He's very steady, and he just seems to not allow anything to bother him when he's out there.
How do you defend Gasol?
That's a good question. You know what? He is such a load down there that you have to give him special attention. It's the same with Zach, when he's down there. But I think with Mark, when he gets out to the elbows, he's even that much more dangerous because he's an excellent passer. And if you don't get up on him, he can shoot it. So he's one of those guys that's a rare type center that you can run your offense through, but he also can post you up, and he also can, hit the 17-foot jump shot. So it's going to be a tough job, for Jordan and Robert when they're guarding him. But hey, you got to step up to the challenge.
Biggest key to beat him? Biggest key to beating Memphis?
Well, for us, you got to keep them off the offensive glass. You got to keep them out of transition. So, which means for us offensively, we can't turn the ball over. We got to get good shots every time down the floor.
Byron, given that we're talking about Kobe and heavy legs and everything in November, are you looking ahead to like February, March? Are you worried about where he might be later in the season?
Not right now. Again, we're just trying to figure out some things that can prevent that from happening again. And we've caught it, I think, early enough to recognize it. But like I said this morning with Kobe when we talked, let's see what these next 3 games kind of brings to us, and we'll kind of evaluate it then, and then we'll go and try to make some adjustments. So, again, it's just a work in progress. We'll just have to wait and see.
But so if like after these 3 games it's kind of continuing, that might be a reduced minutes or sort of
Correct.
That's when you might consider that?
Correct.